Hey there, and welcome to your wonderful, fabulous life. Now, today I want to talk to you about patterns of thinking that we think are good for us, but really they're very destructive. I call them frenemies, and that's because they seem like they're for us, but they're really against us. So stay tuned and I'll explain.
We are closer, closer than before. We are closer with God's power.
Hey there, and welcome to your wonderful, fabulous life. I'm Rhonda Crawford, and I'm so glad you're joining me here today. Now, today I'm excited because we're talking about frenemies. Frenemies, yes, patterns of thinking that we think might be good for us, but in the long run, they end up being very destructive. So they seem like friends, but they're actually enemies, hence we get the term frenemies. And the first frenemy I want to talk to you about today is what we call excuses. Yes, the pattern of thinking that leads to excuses. That is a frenemy. And when we're in the moment of coming up with an excuse, we think that, this is great. This is a great resource. I don't want to do XYZ, so I'm just going to give an excuse and get out of it. But excuses are really destructive because they cover the real reason why we're not doing something that maybe we should do, or they can cover why we are doing something that maybe we shouldn't do. And a lot of times that real reason needs to be addressed so that we don't remain stuck in the same place. I love this quote that I heard from John Maxwell. Well, he said that making excuses gives us the opportunity to experience the same thing over and over again. And a lot of times the basis for an excuse is fear. It's a fear of some type. And so maybe, there's something that's on your heart to do and you've been telling yourself, okay, well, I can't do it because I'm so busy, but it's really not necessarily because we're busy, but maybe there's a fear there that stepping out to do whatever it is will fail or won't live up to everything that might be in our heart for us to see. And so because we don't want to deal with maybe a failure, we'd rather just give an excuse and say, well, I'm just too busy. Well, when we gloss over the real reason with an excuse, we're actually doing the worst thing we could do, and that's actually making an excuse to ourselves. Telling ourselves an untruth just keeps us in the same place. We're not moving forward, and we remain in that place of where that fear is day after day, year after year, looking at the same scenery and not moving forward. So we want to break up with excuses. Every single excuse. We want to just say what we mean and mean what we say. If it's no, it's no. If it's yes, it's yes. And if there's an underlying reason that is challenging us in a certain area, we want to admit it to ourselves. We want to admit it to God. And we want to allow Him to deal with us so that we can get to a place of growth and breaking free from being in the same place for too long. Okay, so the second frenemy I want to talk to you about today is people pleasing. And people pleasing is an absolute frenemy because we think it's for us because we want people to kind of view us in a positive light. And I think that's across the board. No one out there just wants to on purpose make people think negatively about them. But people pleasing ends up being destructive because that thought ends up becoming out of balance. And we end up making decisions. We end up getting into relationships, getting out of relationships, not speaking what's on our heart to say, not doing the things that are on our heart, because we're in this place of thinking so much about what is the reaction of others going to be if I step out and say this, or step out and do this, or step out and have this conversation. What will people think of me? Will they continue to think of me positively? And if there's a chance that they won't, maybe it's something that I shouldn't do. But you know what? The Bible tells us in Proverbs 29:25 that fearing people is a dangerous trap. It's a dangerous trap because there are things that maybe you're being led to do, maybe you are designed to do, and maybe if we're in a position of people pleasing, we don't do it because we're thinking, what will people think? So people pleasing is definitely a frenemy that we want to break up with immediately. Now, the third frenemy I want to talk to you about today is the frenemy called the comfort zone. Now, the comfort zone is a frenemy I'm sure we are all acquainted with. It is that place that seems like it's for us because everything is just so comfy and cozy, and there's nothing pushing us out there, nothing uncomfortable. We could just relax and stay here all day. But the thing about the comfort zone that's so destructive is the longer we stay in the comfort zone, the longer we remain the same. And it kind of reminds me of lifting weights. So I've been kind of working out, lifting weights, doing upper body workouts. And the more resistance or the more weight that I use, the harder it is on my muscles for me to pick up the weight. So it's not the most comfortable thing, believe me. It's not the most comfortable thing to be lifting this heavy weight and you're trying to do these reps and these sets for different exercises. It can be exhausting, it can be tiring, and sometimes when you think about doing it, it's like, okay, I really don't feel like doing this today. But at the same time, the more I engage in lifting those weights, the more I give that pressure to those muscles, and the more and more I do it, the more my muscles begin to change and form and grow and get stronger and get better. And it's just like that in our lives where the comfort zone is concerned. The more we step out and do things that we've never done before, the more we have to use our faith to believe for something we've never received or walked in before, the more we begin to grow, the more wisdom we begin to acquire as we seek out how we can accomplish different things. The more our relationship with God begins to grow as we depend and trust Him for different things that come up in our lives. So even though the comfort zone seems like it's just this wonderful place of just all ease, it's really destructive, and we do not want to stay there because we always want to be in a position of growing, of getting better, of getting bigger, of getting stronger, and of walking out the things that we've been designed by God to do. And now the final frenemy that I want to talk to you about today is the pity party. Yes, the pity party, where we are feeling sorry for ourselves. And we can't feel sorry for ourselves by ourselves. We always have to have somebody with us. So we send out invitations for people to join us in this place of pity, where we can share all the different things that are happening, all the challenges that are coming up against us, how bad it is, how hard it is, how tired we are. We want everybody to join us so that they can say, oh, you're right, that is just so horrible what you're dealing with. We want everybody to join in and feel sorry for us and come along with us and just have the whole pity party together. But at the end of the day, the pity party is destructive, because what we're doing when we're complaining about the different things in our lives is we're admitting that we have no power to change them, no power to see them moved and to see them improved. And what we're doing is we're saying, you know what, this is just happening in my life and I'm just speaking what I see. But that's not the way that God does things. God doesn't speak what He sees. He speaks what He wants to see, and that's what He wants us to do. He doesn't want us to speak the problem. He doesn't want us to speak how bad it is. He doesn't want us to speak how horrible things are and how challenged we are. He wants us to speak what He says about us, and what He says about us is that we are powerful, that we have Him on our side, and so everything we put our hands to is successful. Even though it may seem like things are rough right now, we know that God is working behind the scenes to change things for me. He wants us to speak like He speaks, calling those things that be not as though they were. We're not supposed to call the things that are the way they are, because guess what? They end up staying just the way they are. So if we want to see things blossom, if we want to see things change, if we want to see that situation grow and improve, we need to say what we want and not what we're seeing. So we're breaking up with the pity party. We're breaking up with the comfort zone. We're breaking up with people pleasing, and we're breaking up with excuses today so that we don't stay in the same place. But 2020 is a place of great growth for us. It's a time of great movement, and it's a time for us walking out the purpose that God has created for our lives. If this video has added value to you, I just want to please ask you to share it with somebody. Go ahead and press like, go ahead and subscribe so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. And I'll be excited to see you here, same time, same place next week. Be blessed.